Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Hello, and thank you for tuning into the GSMC Relationship Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Giovanna, and I'm so happy that you're here with us today, because today we're going to be talking about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. It's going to be all about self-love and self-care. I am someone for pretty much my entire life has dealt with some form or the other of a body dysmorphia. For anyone who doesn't know what body dysmorphia is it is an obsessive focus on a perceived flaw in appearance, and this flaw may be minor or imagined, but the person may spend hours a day trying to fix it. The person may try many cosmetic procedures or exercise to excess. It's something that's been really difficult for me, as it's really hard for me to lose weight. It's easier for me to gain muscle. And so I'm always, seeing my number on a scale. And, even when, I was pretty muscular, I was really upset with, the number of my weight. All of this has, been getting better, but, some days are worse than others. And it's tough some days, because you think that you're not good enough for anybody. And that is the main reason why I'm going to be talking about self-love today. What gave me this idea is the very common adage, or the saying that, how can you love someone before you love yourself? This really bothered me. This saying has always bothered me. And I wanted to see if there was any scientific basis on that. Everything that I found, one, I didn't find anything. Two, I love going on psychologytoday.com simply because of their blog posts, because they have people who are like actually psychologists, like write these blogs. And, this guy wrote a pretty good blog, that I read about, it was called, To Love Someone, Do You Really Need to Love Yourself First? This was written by Leon F. Seltzer. He's a PhD, he's a doctor, and he could not find any studies on this. Now, once upon a time, I had a college email, and I had access to many scientific databases, and I don't anymore, because they're all hidden behind a paywall. But even still, I'll go on Psychology Today, or I'll go to other blog sites and do some research to see if has been any research done. And he didn't find anything. One of my favorite things that he brought up in this article was that, especially he sees in his clients as a psychologist, that people who just think so poorly of themselves and maybe has poor self-esteem, that doesn't mean that they're incapable of giving and receiving love. Like the same people who are going to just hate how they look and hate, just not like themselves, for lack of a better word, I will still have the biggest hearts and be able to love someone and give love very effectively. But what they argue is that if you can't see love within yourself and love yourself, you may not believe that other people will be able to love you, which is something that I can kind of understand, but that does not mean you are incapable of giving and receiving love if you are still on your journey to self-love and self-acceptance. Basically, the evidence just really isn't there, I guess, to say that because, I mean, there hasn't been no scientific study, but, I mean, you can still love people if you don't love yourself. What he argues, though, is let's say you love someone, your relationships may become more intimate. And the reason why they might become more intimate is because when you don't like yourself, when you feel that you are not good enough, you are more likely to hide yourself behind a facade. You may not show your true colors, and you may fall in love with someone, showing them a part of you that might not be totally you. And when you love yourself, you open up who you truly are to the people that you love and the people who are closest to you. And because you are opening up, the other partner in the relationship is most likely going to open up too, because that's another thing that we humans like to do. When I give a piece of information from myself, I usually expect a piece of intimate information from you. And that's how building relationships work, and that's how we become attached to one another. So if you truly do love yourself and accept yourself, your relationships are probably going to be more intimate because you're more likely to open up truthfully to your partner. But that doesn't mean that you are not worthy of love if you don't love yourself. The reason why I don't like that saying is because it seems to make people, it's like that self-fulfilling prophecy. You can't find love because you don't love yourself, and how can you ever love someone if you don't love yourself? I just don't agree with it. Now, there are ways, like, let's say if you don't love yourself, you might be so intent on finding a partner, and you just will be with someone and just look past at all their flaws and really highlight the good things about them because they like you and they accept you and, you know, all that stuff. How he finishes this article is, he believes, is a better way to express that term. And to quote him, he says, "To deepen your love and acceptance of another, first develop love and acceptance for yourself." I am much more likely to get on board of that train than to how can you love someone if you can't love yourself. If you have true love and true appreciation and affection for yourself, you may have deeper, stronger relationships. That does not mean, however, that you are not worthy of love or that you are that you don't know how to give love. I mean, like I said before, some of the people who have just the biggest hearts could never turn that same care and that same affection back towards themselves. But if you are open and accepting of yourself, you're more likely to seek out relationships. When you may not like yourself, you may not show your full self for fear of being rejected and for fear of not being loved. And I think once we figure out that that's very unlikely to happen, that if you can truly open up and be honest and have a trustworthy relationship to the point where you can open up like that, I think it could lead to really great things in your relationship, and both of you are going to benefit from that by opening up and being honest with each other. Even if you are still on the path of self-love and self-acceptance, I think a great form of self-care, which we're actually going to get into at the end of the show, is talking to your partner about how you feel. If you aren't there yet, if you're not completely accepting of yourself. And the thing is, too, no one is going to love every single part of themselves. And if they are, they're like really narcissistic. Like, I don't think I've ever met someone who is just completely full of themselves and would not change one thing about themselves. There's a difference of being self-absorbed and have self-love. So it's never going to be perfect. Whatever spot that you're at right now, if you are on your way of accepting yourself and loving yourself as I am, there are going to be days where you just can't. And with that, we are going to take a quick break, but in the next segment, I'm going to be talking about some ways where you can slowly change your thinking each day. I'm a big advocate for small, little, minute baby steps. And because in the grand scheme of things, those small changes that are going to be easy to do right now is going to have a huge impact of your life, at really changing where you're at right now for the better. So thanks to my amazing segue skills, we're going to take a break to hear from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back.
The GSMC Sex Podcast is a show that examines all aspects of sexuality, from physical to emotional to spiritual. Join our hosts as they discuss age-old questions, common misconceptions, and the latest topics surrounding sex. They'll tackle topics about sexuality from the complicated to the hilarious and everything in between. GSMC Sex Podcast is your show for all of your questions about sex, even some you might not have thought of yet. Download the GSMC Sex Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you can find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
And welcome back, all of you beautiful people. I'm so excited because we're going to get right into it. Kind of going off from right where I left off. Even if once a day you can just look at yourself. Let's say you're having a really bad day that day. You just hate how you look. You hate the feeling of being in your body. I get it. On these days, I like to find one thing that I like about myself. So for me, I really like the color of my eyes. I like my teeth. And recently, I just got my nails done for the first time since quarantine. And so I really like my nails. So these are the things that can give me confidence. So these things are really small. So what I do is I will look at the mirror and I'll just stare at my eyes and I'll be like, wow, my eyes are so pretty. I love the color. I love my eyes. And you just focus on that one part. You don't think about all of the other things that you're self-conscious about. Now for you, this could be different. This could be, I love my arms. I love my shoulders. I love my nose. I love my ears. I love my hair. It can be anything, as long as it's something you actually truly love about yourself. Now, let's say you can't find one thing that you love about yourself. Do your makeup. Get dressed up in a nice outfit. Wear those new shoes you've been wanting to wear. Put on something that makes you feel good about yourself. And then just say, wow, this jacket is really awesome. I look really good in this outfit. Like, I love the color of this jacket. Like, for me, for example, my nails. I didn't pop out of the womb with acrylic claws on my nails, okay? Like, I go to my nail girl and I say, hey, Jess, I want, like, my claws, okay? Like, I need you to help me with it. So, but my nails make me feel confident, so get something in your life that makes you feel confident and focus on that when you're having a bad day. I wanted to talk about CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. What cognitive behavioral therapy is very common in therapists and counselors, especially right now, most therapists and counselors will probably use CBT. I like CBT because cognitive behavioral therapy. Now think about cognitive. So cognitive is going to focus on your brain and how you think and how your brain works. Now we all use our brains as shortcuts. Like we will have, our brain is constantly working so hard all the time. It comes up with little shortcuts all the time. And sometimes we don't know we're doing it, but we'll make shortcuts that are very damaging to our mental health. And cognitive behavioral therapy is all about rewiring those shortcuts, rewiring the way we think and our small little habits that keep us down. And by making those small changes each day, and maybe at first it will seem so minuscule and it might not even seem like you're doing it, but what you're really doing is changing the pathways in your brain. And you're quite literally rewiring your brain to think different. And you can do this, and that's like just such the cool, amazing thing about your brain is that at first it just seems so impossible. I get it. It feels like you're looking up at this huge wave in front of you and you're like, how am I going to fix this? You fix it by making tiny, small changes in your life. Now, let's say you are getting ready in the mirror and the first thing you say, oh, I'm so ugly. The first step in changing your behavior is catching yourself when you are talking badly about yourself. So in the counseling therapy world, that's called bad self-talk. So the first step to you getting better and to loving yourself is to recognizing when you are participating in bad self-talk. So once you start, all it has to be is as soon as you think, oh, I'm so ugly. Oh, I'm so stupid. Oh, I'm not good enough. You just stop yourself and say, that's weird. I just said that I hated myself. Like, would I tell my friend that I hate him? Like, think of your best friend. Now, would you tell them that they're ugly and that they're not worth it and that they're not going to amount to anything? No. The goal is to be aware and to be in the moment with your thinking. Now, if you catch yourself saying that, think about, well, would I tell my best friend that? Then why am I saying it? Why am I doing that? And then go back to the things that you have highlighted about yourself that you like. I keep going back to my eyes because that's usually the thing that I go to. I go, oh, but I have such pretty eyes. My eyes are so pretty. I love my eyes. Or you know what? Everyone tells me how kind I am. It doesn't even have to be a physical attribute. I use physical attributes because for me, I'm very proud of my personality, but I'm not as confident with my physical looks. For you, that might be different. And so even if you think man, like all of my friends say how funny I am. All of my friends say how smart I am. Find a personality trait that you would use or that your friends would use to describe you and that you're proud of, and focus on that. So the goal is to be mindful of our thoughts, to recognize when we're using these bad thoughts, and to slowly chip at them and change them over time. If you just start noticing how you're talking to yourself, I guarantee you that's going to make a big difference. And if you just start appreciating the things that you have that you do love, eventually those little things are going to carry over into the rest of yourself. Later on in the podcast, on our last segment, I'm going to be talking about 10 things of self-care that you can practice. And these are going to be things that I want you to do so you can stay in the moment and stay mindful. And even these thoughts are still going to happen, these intrusive thoughts. Last episode, I talked about giving a personality to an attitude or to a habit. So let's say that voice that comes in your head that's always talking badly about you, I want you to name that voice and give that voice a personality, and like write down that personality and just make them like the worst person ever. Are you going to really let Kyle, the frat boy, tell you that you're not good enough or tell you that you're ugly? No. So, and just by doing these small things, these are going to change. You are not going to change how you view yourself in a day, a week, or even a month. It's going to take small little changes that happen every day that is going to rewire the habits that you have built and the shortcuts that you have built in your head. And you've done that to protect yourself. You've done that, and same thing for eating disorders. All types of eating disorder is used as a way to protect the person with an eating disorder from from not being in control, from not having self-love. And that eating disorder is used as a way to protect yourself. And when people seek help for an eating disorder, it is hard for them to lose that part of themselves, because for so long, that part has been able to help them get through and their life. And but sometimes it can go through too far. And when people are seeking treatment for a eating disorder, it really has to be done carefully and thoughtfully, because people are going to miss that feeling. And to get better, you have to address that those thoughts have protected you and have got you where you are right now. But they're going to hold you back, and you can get better as long as you slowly redo all of those neurons and all of those shortcuts in your brain, because you can do better now. And that voice in your head that tells you that you're not good enough, they're trying to push you, but you need to change it. You need to give them a personality and say thank you for your input, but I'm going to take it from here, because you are the one in control and you are the one who can get better. And you can do it. It's hard, but that's why you got to just do little baby steps at first, because that is what is going to change it. Anyway, guys, I'm getting really deep today, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's because it's a late record for me. I'm just really passionate about this topic. And also I really do love, self-help. I really love, psychology. I went to school. I have a slight background in psychology. The problem, I almost got an undergrad in psychology. I got my BFA my BA in that. I was a double major in acting and psychology with a minor in communication. I took every single psychology class and I couldn't pass statistics. I took it 3 times and I got an F each time. So I just said, nope, I'm just not. I can't anymore. And so I just dropped the major and I said, if I really want to go and help people and work as a therapist, I will just go and get my master's in social work because I have a bachelor's degree. So that's how that worked out for me. So I'm not completely talking out of my butt here. This is something that I really enjoy learning about. And I have been to, therapy in and out of my whole life. And so this is, I want you to know that I'm not completely blowing smoke. But I also shouldn't be used as a person who you get medical advice from. If you feel like you may be suffering from a eating disorder or from body dysmorphia, I'd highly recommend going to see a counselor, a psychiatrist, or a therapist, depending on what your needs are. And this is the National Eating Disorder Hotline for the U.S. You can call that number at 800-931-2237. That's 800-931-2237. And again, that's the National Eating Disorder Hotline. So if that's something that you need more immediately, I guess. So we are going to get into the next topic, which is going to be different types of self-care. So now, and the second half of the show, we talked all about self-love and stuff. But the end of the show, the second half, we're going to be talking about self-care and types of self-care. And keep in mind that when you are practicing self-care, to be in the moment and with your thoughts. And I feel like that is how you're going to get the most bang for your buck when practicing self-care. But before we get to that, we're going to take a quick commercial break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back. So the different types of self-care. There's actually 8 different types of self-care, and they all can be. You can do all sorts of things within these different types. In our last segment, we're going to be talking about 4 self-care things that you can try, but these are going to highlight some of the different categories of self-care. So the first one is going to be physical. So sleep, stretching, walking, physical release, healthy food, yoga, and rest. I don't know about you, but whenever I do even 15 minutes of working out, I always feel a little better. So get up, take a shower, make sure you're getting enough sleep. Oh my goodness, it's so important. The average adult needs 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Now, how much do you think you're getting? be honest with yourself, okay? Because getting a good night's sleep is going to help with your immune system, which is very important during a global pandemic. And it's also going to help with stress management. So this is very important. The next type of self-care is going to be emotional. So stress management, emotional maturity, forgiveness, compassion, and kindness. This is going to be where take a moment to compliment a stranger. I'm a part of a lot of Facebook groups where it's just positivity thread, and we all will post a selfie and everyone comments nice things on them, and it makes you feel good that you're a part of a community that is so accepting and loving, and it's just, just positivity, good stuff like that. The next one is social. So boundaries, support systems, positive social media, communication, time together, and ask for help. You are not weak if you ask for help. I don't know why everyone has that assumption. We are taught at a young age that I guess you're just supposed to do it all on your own, which doesn't make any sense at all, but it's just not true. If you think about how absurd that actually sounds, that we're just all supposed to figure out life on our own, it doesn't make any sense at all. We are human. We're supposed to ask for help. We're how do you expect to, if you go into a new setting, a new situation, obviously you're not going to know what to do. So ask for help. And that goes for life transition as well. So this next one is going to be spiritual. Time alone is so important. Meditation, yoga, connection, nature, journaling, sacred space. Now, spiritual and physical can go hand in hand sometimes. So it mentioned yoga. So yoga you can do with physical, because not only are you exercising and you're stretching, but the whole point of yoga is to focus on your breathing. And meditation is all about your breathing. Okay, so the next one is personal. So this is going to be hobbies, knowing yourself, personal identity, and honoring your true self. So if you like to read books, read a book that you like and that about a topic that you enjoy or that you want to learn more about. Do something for yourself. Do something that a hobby that contributes to your sense of self. It's always tough when someone's like, oh, so what do you like to do for fun? And you're like, oh, well, I go to work and then I go to bed, try to do something that you're interested in that makes you proud of yourself. Do something that challenges you, that shows your natural talents. And, that kind of thing is going to boost your self-esteem, because you're going to become a well-rounded person who has all of these interesting things that they do. And it doesn't have to be a lot, I say all of these interesting things, but even if it's just one thing, that's so cool, because not a lot of people do that. But because you listen to this podcast, you're smart and you can do it. Okay, so the next one is space. Safety, healthy living environment, security and stability, and an organized space. Now, some people do not have access to this thing, and that can come with privilege. And so if you can have these things, focus on how grateful, or I don't know, how thankful I am. Right now, I know that if I, walk down the street alone, I know I'll most likely be safe. I know that, I live in a home. I grew up in a home that for the most part had security and stability, and not everyone has that. But I think as you grow older, there are ways, to reparent yourself. There are, types of, ways that you can go back and talk to your little you and reparent yourself. But if you have these things, safety, healthy living environment, and all that, by all means, it's very good type of self-care, because that means that yourself is safe. So yeah, definitely on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. That's going to be the bottom thing. Okay, so the next one is financial, saving, budgeting, money management, splurging, and paying bills. Also, another thing that will come from a place of privilege. But even if you have no money at all, creating a budget is very smart. I think that even if you're living paycheck to paycheck, if you can try to figure out, okay, what part of my paycheck is going to go to my rent? What part of my paycheck is going to go to my bills? Map out how much you're going to spend on gas, how much you're going to spend on groceries. You're going to feel more confident, and you're going to feel like you have more control over your money if you are budgeting and if you are doing stuff like that. And if you are keeping track of your money and where you are going, you probably can go into saving, which is another part on financial. So if you feel more confident about your ability to budget and save money, you're most likely going to save more money. And yeah, obviously like paying bills, like splurging is on this list. Not everyone can do that. Like I understand, but, when you can splurge, I wouldn't do it often. But when you can, do it on something that it's going to make you happy and make you feel good. Now, not everything is, we live in a capitalist society where, we're told that in order to feel good, we have to buy things, and that's really not necessarily the case. But maybe if you splurge to buy something that's going to help you in the future. For example, when I bought a very expensive microphone and now I have a podcast. So, I mean, things... sometimes they work out, but, okay. So the last one is work. So this is time management, work boundaries, positive working place, more learning, and break time. Not every, work is going to have a positive, or not every workplace is going to have a positive work environment and, a set break time. But if you can, work boundaries are very important. Now, if you are on a vacation and, so at my job, I'm an assistant manager. If I go on vacation, I am not answering any of work text, emails, group chats, nothing. And I warn people weeks ahead of time. I am not the person to call because I will not answer you. Okay. Like you need to have those boundaries. Now during work, I'm a manager. I understand I'm going to get calls asking me like how to do something. I get that. But when I'm on vacation, I'm not going to answer that phone call. And I do not feel guilty about that at all. And you got to have work boundaries because if you don't have work boundaries, you're going to get burnt out and it's not going to be good at all for you. So definitely have those boundaries for yourself. Like I said, not every place is going to have a positive work environment and things like that, but we hope for the best. And this is why we practice self-care, because if we are in these bad situations, if we can practice self-care and try the best we can, maybe we can pull ourselves out of the situation that we're in. Obviously, that I'm speaking from a place of privilege. You can't tell, but I am a cis white woman. So there are some people that, based on their race, their sex, their gender identity, these things are not possible. And that is why people like me, a white woman, anyone with privilege needs to speak out against that and fight for those people so we all are starting at the same starting line. So I know for some of these self-care stuff that I'm going to talk about, it is coming from a place of privilege, and that's sometimes you can't do these things. But I mean, I'm a big advocate for, at least trying to change things, in yourself, changing the way you think about yourself, at least, because you are the person you got, and if you got to be nice to yourself because that's what you have, the whole time. So even if you aren't in a place right now where you can save money, if you are at a job that is not a healthy work environment, but you can't afford to leave, if you can't Let's say you live in a food desert and you don't have access to good, healthy food. These are all things that was included on these self-care lists. But even if maybe you can meditate for 5 minutes a day and be present with your breath, and think about your self-care and think about your self-love and how you talk about yourself in your head and how you think of yourself. These things can change you, and the people around you are going to notice a difference. They're going to see a difference from the outside just by changing these little things. And so we're going to finish the podcast off with 10 self-care things that you can do after all of that epilogue there about self-care stuff. Some things I did bring up, but not everything, and I'm kind of going to go into it a little bit more of how to be mindful and be present while you're practicing self-care. And we're going to get into all of that after this break.
Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? The GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast is a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts America Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today. Download the GSMC America Still Beautiful podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Okay, guys, let's get into 10 practices of self-care that you can do today, tomorrow, or sometime. I just hope that you do some of them because we should all have a little self-care every once in a while. The first one is meditation. Talked a little bit about meditation in the last segment, but meditation has been proven to improve your focus, improve your memory, improve your attitude. By just doing 5-10 minutes of meditation a day, that is really going to change your outlook. Now, meditation may be really scary to some people, and I get it. But there are a lot. I love guided meditations. Guided meditations are awesome because they just tell you what to do. And it's usually a nice soothing voice that you can listen to. And they're like, okay, like relax each part. Like, I love doing sectional meditations. I do this a lot to help me fall asleep. So there's your trick for you. But basically, like, you'll just lay down in a comfortable position. And first you'll relax your feet, and then you relax your calves, and then you relax your knees, and then you'll relax your thighs, and you'll just go up. It's a body scan. So you'll scan your whole body, and once you finish the body scan and you've made it up to the top of your head, like the crown of your head, you breathe into the spots that you think might need more care. So if you're someone who holds all of their stress up in their shoulders, you can send your breath to your shoulders and just relax all of that tension in there. So that is a very fast rundown of a meditation that you can do today. I love body scans, but go on YouTube. There's some on Spotify. There's guided meditation playlists that I'll use on Spotify. And there's podcasts that you can download in the Apple podcast store, which is what I use Apple Podcasts. So I'm most familiar with that. But you can go on there and download guided meditations. So highly recommend. It really does help memory, attitude, and it helps you sleep too. I use it to help me sleep. Okay. Just get up for 15 minutes. So especially right now, not so much, but I think there are some offices that are beginning to open up So in your day, if you find yourself, you're constantly sitting in the same spot, get up for like 15 minutes. If you're still working at home, you can get up and do some jumping jacks. Or if you're going back to the office, you can get up and walk around. If you're someone who is, I'm pretty sure college is ended right now and all types of school are ended. But if you're doing some sort of summer school, make sure you're not sitting in front of your computer for like a long time. Get up and do like a 15-minute workout. Stretch for 15 minutes. Do something where you are getting into your body. I'm a very physical person, and I like to be present in my body. So for me, I really like to stretch and kind of do a little one-on-one with my body. Like if my hips are hurting that day, I'll be like, okay, why are my hips hurting? And I can stretch and do something. Just get up and do like a little 15-minute workout. You'll feel great afterwards. Learn something new. So, start a new hobby. Take a class. I've been using like Duolingo and practicing Italian on Duolingo. So this is going to be self-care for your brain, so like learn something new. It's going to help fight against, dementia, things like that. Like if you're constantly learning something, if you're a lifelong learner, it helps keep your brain active and alert. Go take a class. There's so many like awesome online classes right now that are being offered. And, that's the one kind of nice thing that, the quarantine has given us is that there's a lot of stuff that you can access online that are very stimulating and you can learn a new hobby. And it's easier than ever because you don't have to like leave your house. So we love that. So this next one is going to be get dressed up for no reason. And, sometimes I will put on like a full face of makeup just because it's fun. But like, did you get like a new outfit this quarantine? Did you do some online shopping? Because I think you did. Go try on some stuff and like have a little fashion show for yourself. Like, if you're working at home still, or just like have a fun day where you go to work like all dressed up or you go to school all dressed up, like that's so much fun, like look nice for nobody but yourself. And if anyone asks you, ooh, who are you seeing today? Like, no, you say I'm getting dressed up for myself today because I feel amazing in this outfit. I feel confident and you know what? I'm not going to see anyone. But if you are, go, baby. Do your thing. See that person. And when that person sees you, if they don't say, oh my God, you look amazing, handsome, beautiful, whatever, tell them that I'm coming for them because I will, because they don't appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, we're going to go on to the next one, which is journal. This one's tough for me. Oh no, my pop mic just fell down. Okay. Anyway, this one's tough for me, because I am not a big, I don't like writing, in a journal. I love doing lists and planning out my day and stuff like that. But if you are someone who likes to do that and who can do it, highly recommend. I know I should journal. And I know it's really good for you. One thing I do though is that I recommend, if you are having an argument with someone or you're fighting with someone, write an email to them or a text message or something and then send it to yourself. That has really helped me a lot. I've wrote some emails to bosses, to people in my life. I'd say okay, you are the worst. This is all of the reasons why that you're wrong and I'm right. And then I just send it to myself and I just delete it and I never think about it again. And that really helps me. So even if it doesn't even have to be a traditional form of journaling, it can be like that. I consider that journaling. But the one thing that's really nice about journaling is that one, it'll be pretty cool to go back and look over some of the things and look at all the accomplishments you've completed. Because right now, when you're on the journey of trying to figure out how to love yourself and what that means for you, it may not seem that you're getting better. But I bet you if you start journaling, you can go back and see all of the progress you made. And it's going to make you feel proud of yourself. Okay. Do something by yourself. This is so important. I used to be so terrified of doing anything on my own. So like this started basically, I was in college. I went to a community college at first, and I commuted 50 minutes every day to go. I would have classes in the morning and the afternoon, and then, you know, I was a theater nerd, so still am. I would have rehearsal at night, so there's no point of me driving back. I spent like so much time alone because I didn't know anybody at first. And at first I was just so upset, and I just felt lonely all the time. But up until then, I was never alone. Like, I lived in a house full of people. And now I do things alone by all the time, and I find it extremely rewarding. Heck, I mean, I went to a different country for 3 months by myself. I highly recommend, y'all. Okay, like, you know, this is something that, like, I have a friend where she'll, before, you know, when theaters were a thing in the before times, she would just go to the movie theaters by herself. And you know what? Good on her. Like, if there's something that you want to go and you don't think that nobody else is going to go with you, just go, you know, and it's going to be so much fun, and it's going to be time for just you. If you want to go get a coffee at your favorite coffee house, go by yourself, you know, like, even if you listen to a podcast while you're there, or music, or like read a book or whatever, but like, you don't always have to, you know, go with other people. I think it's really important for you to have, like a date with yourself. I love that idea. Just like go on a date with yourself. You won't regret it. Okay, go outside. Like, enjoy. So the sun, I don't know if you've heard of it. It has vitamin D, and vitamin D is really great mood booster, which is why people get kind of down in the wintertime. It's seasonal depression. It's a real thing. So like, go outside, take in the sun. I would say wear sunscreen, but I never do, and I know that's bad. I know I shouldn't, and yeah. But, like, go outside, enjoy the sun, if it's sunny where you're at right now, but, like, just breathe in some fresh air and get out of, from behind a desk, get out from inside, and just enjoy the nice fresh air of being outside, and go for a walk, go for a hike. Have fun. So yeah. The next one we're going to do is talk to a friend. Even if it's a Skype call, you know, like schedule like a 30-minute Skype call. And whenever I like get done, it's so hard scheduling it, trust me, because all of my friends are just nuts. But like, and we all live in different states, it seems like, and different just miles away from each other. But if you after you talk to your friend that you haven't talked to in a while, you are just going to like feel so much better. Every time I hang up the phone with a friend that I haven't like actually talked to, like FaceTime or like a phone call, I just feel so much better afterwards. It's always so nice. And now they have so many things. Like I really like doing, using the app Marco Polo, where it's like you send little videos. And the cool thing about Marco Polo is that, the person can like, you can record a video and the person can like either watch it live, or if they're not on there, they can watch it later. And it's almost like a walkie-talkie kind of thing, you know, but with videos. It's just really cool. And I'll use like a voice memos too, and I'll send it to people just so I can like hear the person's voice, which is it's good. Unfollow negative social media accounts. Oh boy. Okay, so I understand, you know, like you need to have a different assortment of opinions and outside viewpoints. It is important, but sometimes you just need to unfriend, unfollow, block to a person or social media account that is just not making you happy. If it like makes your blood pressure go up every time that somebody like shares something, just don't. Like, at some point you just have to like figure out, okay, is me needing to be friends with this person on social media better than my mental health? Because sometimes it's just not. And now for like almost every platform, they have like an unfollow where you're still like friends with them or like like a mute button or something on Twitter, I think it is. Again, I'm not a Twitter person, but like, yeah, on Twitter you can mute them, but like you're still following them. And on Facebook, you're still friends with them, but you don't see them. You know, so there are ways that you can, on the outside, like still like not have to go through the whole unfriend, unfollow, but, you know, you can just stop seeing their stuff. And, yeah, it's, I bet you probably won't regret it. Okay. And the last one, we talked about this earlier, but I want to bring it up again. This is your homework for today. Find something you like about yourself. One thing. I don't care if it's a toenail. I don't care if it's a tattoo. I don't care if it's one hair. I don't care if it's, you know, a scar that you think is funny, that has a funny story behind it. I just need you to find one thing about yourself that you like and focus on that. And because that little thing, it's like planting a little seed in the ground. And if you water it every day and you care for it every day and you look at yourself in the mirror and you like say, man, I have the best freaking elbows I've ever seen anyone else had. Like these elbows, they are the bee's knees of elbows. They're the bee's elbows. Okay, like that little seed is going to grow into you loving more bigger parts of you. So now you love more things than just your elbows. And so yeah, and wrapping it all up in a bow, if you love yourself, you're going to form more intimate relationships. That does not mean you're not worthy of love. It just means that your relationships are probably going to be more open and intimate. But if you're not there just yet, that's okay. That's what the little thing is for, about finding one little thing about yourself that you like. Because you'll get there. It just takes little changes each and every day. So anyway, guys, that concludes the podcast. I'm so happy you've listened to this whole thing. At this point, I'm just glad that you're here with me. But again, I think I said last week, if you like the Facebook page, follow the Instagram or follow the Twitter page, or let's say like if you don't have a Twitter, if you don't have a Facebook, or you don't have one of them, just like whatever the ones that you have, screenshot it, rate and review on iTunes and screenshot that. And what was the other thing I said? I think it was just rate and review and follow us. So if okay, oh jeez, oh my goodness, you can tell it's late for me right now. But if you follow the pages, all the pages you can, rate and review and subscribe, and you send me screenshots of this, I'll shout you out on the podcast, and I'll shout you out on the social media pages that you followed us on. So yeah, you can send me screenshots on the Facebook page, or you can send me screenshots on like the Twitter or Instagram, just like direct message me. So yeah, I want to thank you guys so much for listening. This is the GSMC Relationship Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Network. Please rate, review, and if you do all of those things I just said and send me screenshots, I'll shout you out, baby. Anyway, have a great night, and I will see you on, let's see, this podcast comes out on Mondays and Thursdays. So I'll see you Thursday or Monday. I'll see you one of those days. Anyway, bye!
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.